Oh, what we got?
So materials for the build is one. I grabbed a sanded 4x8 sheet of plywood. It's basically a 1/2 inch thick. I've got three standard 2x4s by 96 inches, and that's all you need for wood. For the hardware, I grabbed a 30-inch piano hinge. It comes with the 1/2 inch screws. So you got to have at least a 1/2 inch thick plywood. We've got these are called touch catches, and so these will go along the side to squeeze everything together. And then we've got locking casters for the wheels. That once we get everything together, we'll mount those on the side so it'll be easy to move around, and then you can lock it when you're in storage. We're going to make a cut on our plywood. So you just want to make a straight line cut at the 48-inch mark to cut it in half. And you can use you need to use a straight edge because you want this cut to be straight as you can. You can either use a clamp like I've got, or you can just use one of your 2x4s or other straight piece of wood to help you make a straight cut on that. Next part, just want to have this as tight and as even as you can, because the bottom half of this is the smooth side that the robots are going to be working on.
Oh, so the smooth side is
down.
Got it.
And so with the 30-inch hinge, should have about 9 inches on either side.
Yep.
And you just want the hinge part
Right in the middle.
up right on the seam. I like to do, so I'll pre-drill each one of the holes for the hinge, and I'll start on the two different corners to keep it straight. But what I like to do, since this is only a 1/2 inch piece of wood, I'll put a flag on my pre-drill so that I know I don't go too deep. So once you're drilling, once you get to the flag, that's as deep as you need to go, so you don't drill a hole all the way through your wood and that you'd have to patch later.
What size bed are you using?
This is, that's a good question. It's a 5/64th, so 5/64th bit, and really you just want something smooth that come with the hinge. Are pretty small. You just want to have something that's about the same size of the shaft of the screw, but that gives enough room for the teeth to bite into the wood. Just to keep everything nice and flat. And clamp everything in place so it doesn't slide on me when I'm trying to drill.
Oh, so once you make the hole, then you gotta manually,
Usually for
just so you don't damage it, maybe.
For these first ones, I usually do by hand just so I don't tear anything out and I get everything lined up.
Okay.
Once I get the first couple of set, then I can use the power drill. I don't have to worry about it moving around on me as much. Working either side, and usually what I do in order to pull everything together, I'll do my pre-drill pretty much right at the edge of the opening for the hole. And then because the screw heads are self-centering, what that'll do is it'll pull everything together when we tighten it down.
Basically, you start with the edges opposite, and then you make your way through the other ones.
the other side.
We took away the foam from, we're gonna do it from both sides. There you go. Perfect.
Nice tight joint, and then the edges we can pull that together. So if you'll help me, we'll just we'll flip the whole thing over, put it smooth side up. What I found worked pretty good on the last one was to use the tube to keep everything clamped and as flat as I could while I'm working on one of the rails. And then that way when everything comes together it'll be as flat as possible.
You're talking about the two in the bottom?
These two.
Because typically we can let them sit wide enough apart where they're not going to be sitting on top of the hinge in the middle, and then we can clamp it to keep everything flat. Even the straight ones, almost all of them will have a little bit of this tear out, so it's not going to be completely rectangular. But what I've been doing is just make sure that if I find a spot like this, I'll put it on the bottom outside so it's not going to be affecting the inside of the table. We'll mark it 48. So this is the portion of the board that I cut. So this is the portion of the board that I want to stick back together.
This one. Yeah.
So I always just mark a line across them so that I know that's where the two should match up. So if I do get them turned around when I carry them over, I always know which way to go back to.
So it's right at the edge, right? Got it.
Exactly as close as I can to the cut in the plywood. Not a requirement, but I always try to put my clamps with the poles down, because I've just hooked myself in the face too many times trying to work over top of it when you have the poles sticking up. These we're using 1.25 inch, number 8, basically deck plus. The pre-drill is going to be a little bit larger. I've got a pre-drill that's a number 8 specifically for these because I use these in a lot of my builds. I'm going to pre-drill on the edges.
The edges in the middle, right?
Right.
Or,
yeah, the edges of, yeah, so basically on the edge of this, the 2x4s and the inside edges of both of these. Keep anything from moving or slipping on us. These are really just going to be to hold everything in place, and then when we flip it over we'll put a lot more in.
now we're doing the second side, similar to what we did here. Tying this up.
48 inches again. I'll mark it from the end to 48 inches, and then I do another tick mark on the far side, and for consistency I always cut on this side of the line. The edge of the T sits right on the edge of the line, so I'm always cutting on the same side of the line so my cuts will always be consistent. We'll pre-drill.
Now we got both sides tightened up. And we only put drills in the edges. This here, here, and here, and here. Similar to the other side. And then we're gonna flip it and do more drilling just to tighten everything up.
This last board, our third board, is what we'll cut to make the end rails.
Got it.
But while I've still got it long and can provide support for us, I'll do the buckles on each side because it'll let me clamp everything tight together. Cut it up. So these buckles will latch on the sides, and we'll do them tight enough to where they'll help pull everything together to keep it flat when it's all together and being used. Flag that we pre-drilled at the beginning for the for the hinge. So I'll just eyeball these where we want them. Pre-drills. I just did by hand. I don't drill through these holes until I've got this one set in case anything moves. That way I'm not having to re-drill anything. And kind of like we did on the hinges, I'm going to make my mark at the edge, the far edge of the hole, because I want it to actually be a little bit further so that it's going to pull everything tight when it's clamped.
There you go.
Yeah, everything's tight.
Tight. Perfect. And now we're gonna do the same exact thing we did there. Boom, right here. Time to put this here as well, because we want to make sure it's holding tightly so we can do this. And also make sure that lined up. Boom, lined up.
I put the latch portion on opposite sides for the two sides. So on the other one, it goes from this board to this direction. So on this one, I go from this board this way.
Got it.
That's it. I don't know that it matters, but at least you'll have them pull into opposite directions. The tool here.
Boom, there you go. It's all about the measurements. There you go. Now we just remove this.
And so now it's just a matter of putting the end walls on. So I'm going to look and see which one of our sides
Are smoother.
This is a pretty good board, so it can't go wrong either way, I don't think. Alright, so, and what I'll do, instead of trying to measurement, what I'll do is I'll just set it in the space and use the space to mark it.
Oh, so you put it like all the way.
Yep, put all the way against it, all the way in here.
Oh, that's neat. That is pretty neat.
You so there's a little bit of bow. There's a little bit of bow in the plywood itself, so we'll just clamp everything together, and then it'll tighten everything up. Put them on the end. Pre-drill.
Oh, so now we got 1, 2, 3. It lines up. They all line up to the edges, as you could see. Oh, all lined up to the edges nicely.
Longer screws, so these are number 10, 2.5 inch ones, and so these will go still pre-drilled, and they'll go into the end grain of these sidewalls.
Okay. These, right?
The tan one.
Oh, this one.
And the important part is to make sure your pre-drill gets through this one. Once it goes into this board, it'll go in pretty easy because this is end grain.
Right. Now we're gonna flip it to the other side. Careful. Careful. A lot of work. Boom. See that? For now. Just got a couple of screws in the corners.
I'll just take a speed square, and so 3/4 is the halfway spot of the 2x4s. So I'll just drag it at 3/4. And that's the middle of the 2x4 underneath it, so I know where to put all of my pre-drills for the holes. Basically, I'll do that all the way around. Basically, about every 12 inches, I'll put an 1.25 inch screw to make sure that we're secure all the way around. And then we'll fold it up. I'm just going to secure this all the way around, and then we'll put the casters on it, and it'll be done.
Welcome to Frank Workshops, or something like that.
Yeah, give it a catchy name though.
That's right.
Mixing with Frank or something.
Boom. There you go.
So I'm going to try to space the wheels as far to the tops of the walls as I can to give us a little bit more stability when we're moving them around. And this time we did go with the locking wheels instead of the free rolling casters, so that should give us a little bit more, hopefully a little bit more stability. These, I'm going to come down. Come down 4 inches from the edge, just to be consistent. And then a 1/2 inch from the top, and that'll give us about as wide as we can go. An 1.25 inch, number 8 foot.
This one. Boom, ready. There you go.
There she is.
Boom.
Yep, and so this one's a little sturdier because we put the wheels further apart, and then if you move it around, the further these two get apart, the more stability you get, so when you're moving around.
And this has been a video with Build It with Frank.
There you go.
Thank you.